See, it almost happened for 2 days in a row. I almost didn't hit all the buttons, and I know that shocks you. Evening Bam, I almost forgot to push that button, because traditionally the way things go is, you put up the starting soon full slate. Then it's like, all right, we trigger the music, we get all these things going on, and then it's like you kind of get lost in the music. You're just kind of bopping around. Pars knows what that's like, having caught me on Twitter, and Nick's having seen it at the last home match. But, you're kind of sitting there and you're bopping along, and you're like, oh, crap, I've got to change things. I got to hit some buttons. I almost forgot to hit that button. But I hit that button just in time. So here's where we are. Happy Friday, beginning of the week, weekend. Busy weekend across the board, bunch of different fronts. Today is transfer deadline day. So I think it's 11 or midnight, one of the two. 12 to 7 is your coverage. NBC on Peacock is going to be showing Sky's transfer deadline day stuff starting at noon Eastern. So follow along with that for the remainder of the day. Liverpool has turned down a $150 million pound offer for Mo Salah. Apparently, they're going to go up to 200 by the end of the day. So we'll see what happens there. We'll go over all the moves in transfers in hour number 2 to go along with weekend whiparound. Patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. Perhaps, possibly, maybe, probably not. But Atlanta United heading to Dallas. Dallas will not have their starting keeper. It will be the pride of Stone Mountain, Georgia, Jimmy Maurer, probably between the sticks for Dallas. After Pice comes outside of his 18, decides he wants to handle the ball about 25 yards out. So 12th minute red card. So Jimmy Maurer had 78 minutes of work last time out in the midweek, and he's probably going to start for Dallas against Atlanta on the weekend. So we will have that review. We'll talk through everything going on with Dallas and with Atlanta United heading into that match. We've seen that it will be Saba time internationally. He got called up for Georgia. No surprise, Thiago Almada got called up for Argentina, along with Alan Velasco and some guy named Messi. So we'll get into all of that, and we'll get into the Champions League groups and the Europa League groups. Those were announced yesterday and today. So this will be the first time that we get to talk about the Champions League and the group of, oh my God. Not just a group of death or a group of doom, but a group of, oh my holy ish. We'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. Opening kickoff, morning four card, morning Bam, morning Ricky. And, opening kickoff once again, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. And don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. Thanks to everyone who has so far. They take 15% off of their purchase as you start your day with Kickoff Coffee. You kick off your day with Kickoff Coffee. See how that works? Then they, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Kickoff Coffee is going to be a piece of news that I know will surprise the ever-loving crap out of you. From Chris Moore at World Soccer Talk. Release court documents are beginning to show how much money Qatar shelled out to receive the 2022 FIFA World Cup. A filing made by a Philadelphia-based organization revealed Qatar transferred millions to FIFA committee members. The Qatar National Bank sent these funds directly. Committee members are in charge of selecting a host nation for each World Cup tournament. Tablet, I've never heard of Tablet, but okay. Tabletmag.com reports that documents from the QNB list names, bank account numbers, and exact amounts of money that changed hands. The magazine also points out that around $330 million went to 22 people Between February of 2009 and December of 2010, voting took place on selecting 18 and 22 World Cups on December 2nd, 2010. You remember that doubleheader? When they just went ahead and said, hey, look, guess what? Qatar ultimately collected enough votes to beat out the U.S. as the host country for the 22 comp. Final round of balloting, 14-8. Tablet claims that a majority of the transferred money went to the 14 FIFA members. Payments to the government, to the governing body, the officials came in two separate stages. Qatar sent part of the money before the vote, sent the remaining funds once Qatar earned enough votes to host the 2022 World Cup. Many recipients of the payments used offshore banking accounts. Once again, quoting Chris Moore at World Soccer Talk, this tactic is typically used by people attempting to keep prying eyes away from business affairs. Through released documents, Tablet reports that the largest payment from Qatari officials went to Vitaly Mutko. Russia's former minister of sport allegedly received over $100 million, so almost a third of the entire alleged shellout went to Vitaly Mutko at Russia. An initial $72.6 million transfer occurred in early 2009. Qatar completed its payments to Mutko with a $34 million transfer after the voting occurred in 2010. IOC banned Mutko in 2017. I know that shocks each and every one of you. Armin Rosen wrote the article at Tablet, so this will be our required reading for the day. There is the Armin Rosen article from Tablet Mag. Yeah, and BAM reports Saudi are bidding for the 34 World Cup. Any other bids are just wasting money. Legitimately, I would I'd move that up. 2030. Like I said, it's part of the Vision 2030 project. I have always maintained that 2030 is their number one goal. And if they don't get 2030 for some reason, it will be 34. To continue to spread the word of the game on a worldwide basis and having it in places we've never had the tournament before. I can see the soundbite now. So that's your required reading of the day. The shocking revelations. Shocking revelations involving Qatar and sending money to Vitaly Mutko, of all people. So there you go. Once again, holding that information, I know that shocks each and every one of you. That's your opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. KickoffCoffeeCO.com. There's your QR code once again for those watching on Twitch. And don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off of your purchases. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth initiatives in the youth game. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and KickoffCoffeeCO.com. Holy crap, the Champions League. I know that we were all kind of looking at the draw yesterday, and there's the video of Jamie Carragher, who is getting all giddy with the draw as it continued. And when you end up with the Champions League draw being what it was, holy-ish. You get a group like that, and you end up with all of the madness that happened yesterday as it was coming forward. Group A, these are the results from yesterday's spinning of the UEFA soccer balls in their salad bowls. Group A, Bayern, Man United, FC Copenhagen, Galatasaray. That one's sneaky tough too. Galatasaray can keep their heads screwed on straight. Bayern, Manchester United, Galatasaray, Copenhagen. Group B, Sevilla, Arsenal, PSV, and Lens. Never discount Sevilla. Group C, Napoli, Real Madrid, Braga, and Union Berlin. Union Berlin with a move this morning. adding players that were frozen out from Juve and picking them up from Serie A. Group D, Benfica, Inter, Salzburg, which we used to know as Red Bull Salzburg. It is now FC Salzburg and Real Sociedad. Group E, Feyenoord, Atletico Madrid, Lazio, and Celtic. Group G, Manchester City, RB Leipzig, as we used to know them, Red Star Belgrade, and Young Boys. Group H, Barcelona, Porto, Shakhtar, Antwerp. And Group F, PSG, Dortmund, Milan, Newcastle. Did you see the look on Nasser El-Khelafi's face when that draw came out in that group? The cutaway of him just staring straight ahead, trying to shoot looks of, I can't believe you just drew this group. Paris, PSG, Dortmund, Milan, Newcastle. How was your Thursday? I mean, goodness. And then, and then after that, you ended up with the Europa League draw. And we'll get into that. But Group F, goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Europa League draw. Group A, West Ham, Olympiacos, Freiburg, and TSC Bacla Topola. I have no earthly idea where Bacla Topola is from. I will tell you that right now. Let me see if I can spell Bacla Topola. I can find out. Okay, Bacla Topola. Bacla Topola. Topola. Type it. Futbalski Klub TSC, commonly known as TSC, Serbian. Okay, based in Bacla Topola. So Futbalski Klub TSC. They are Serbian. Welcome to the Europa League. Group B, Ajax, Marseille, Brighton, and AEK. That's a tough one. That's going to be a fun group to watch. Group C, Rangers, Real Betis, Sparta Prague, RS Limassol. Group D, Atalanta, Sporting Lisbon, Sturm, and Rakov, who we saw in the qualification stages. Group E, Liverpool, Lusk, Union SG, and Toulouse. Group F, Villarreal, Rennes, Maccabi Haifa, and Panathinaikos. Group G, Roma, Slavia Prague, our friends from Sheriff Tiraspol, and Servette. Group H, Leverkusen, Karabag, quoting Jason, Molde, and Hacken. So that's what you're looking at with the intrigue of the Europa League. And then, Ricky, I think you said the Conference League came out this morning as well. We go through all of our groups and group stages. Trying to type quickly. Europa Conference League group stage draw. Lille, Slovan Bratislava, Olympia Ljubljana, and our buddies from the Faroe Islands in Group A, KI Klaksvik. Go Faroe Islands. Group B, Ghent, Maccabi Tel Aviv, Zorya Luhansk, and Breidablik. Group C, in Conference League, Dinamo Zagreb, Victoria Pilsen, Astana, which means that we will get some 9:30 in the morning kickoff times for the true degenerates who want to watch the tournament in and of itself. Group stage in Azerbaijan, either 7:30 or 9:30 in the morning East Coast time. And Balkani. Group D, Bruges, Bodo Glimt, Besiktas, and Lugano. Group E, AZ Alkmaar, Aston Villa, Legia Warsaw, and Zrinjski. Group F, Ferencvaros from Hungary, Fiorentina, Genk, and Kucharicki. Man, there are a lot of clubs that I'm seeing for the first time in Conference League. Eintracht Frankfurt, PAOK Salonika, HJK, and Aberdeen in Group G. Group H, Fenerbahce, Ludogorets, Spartak, Trnava, and Nordsjælland. So it is a true degenerates tournament that we've gone all the way through the Europa Conference League group stages. So those are your groups. But the nastiest group of them all, yeah, Real Madrid and Villa did get good groups. Group of, oh my holy God, in the Champions League. Oh my holy God. And Bam, my apologies. This weekend, LAFC and Messi and friends. You get Ted Uncle in the middle. We'll go over assignments and ref assignments in hour number 2. Four-card, I think this is the QOD. Is that the most deathiest group of death ever? I think so. I mean, I cannot think of any other heavyweights that are paired like that have been paired like that. This might be the deathiest group of death ever. So we'll pose that question in hour number 2 as well. It is a 5-stripe Friday, Abby. How many of you are going to Dallas, by the way? How many of you are going to Frisco for the match? And by the way, public service announcement. It is a triple header Saturday. Not just a double header Saturday. It is a triple header Saturday. Starts with us here on the SDH Network at 4:45. Pre-game show getting you ready on Saturday for the Twos and FC Cincinnati 2. Got to catch up with Steve Cook and Nicholas Firmino yesterday. You will hear from them in the pre-game show. So 4:45, conversation with Steve Cook. You get to hear from Nicholas Firmino as well. A match that Atlanta United 2 can win. FC Cincinnati below them in the standings. The 2 home matches that are left involve FC Cincinnati 2, Inter Miami 2. You got to take care of business on the road. One of those is in Huntsville on the 10th. I think Jason plans to be there at the moment for Atlanta and Hunt City. And then decision day, the 24th, it is Atlanta United 2 at Crew 2. A lot of things could be decided. It will be interesting to see what the Columbus Crew 2 lineup, since they are north of the playoff bar, what it will be on decision day. So Atlanta United 2, 10 points out, 4 to go. They're not giving up. And stage 1 of that starts with the penultimate home match of the year, 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon up at the Fraction. It is Atlanta United 2, FC Cincinnati 2. Be there. Take your device with you. If for some reason you cannot be there, on your device, soccerdownhere.net, SDH app, and you'll be able to hear me on the call with FC Cincinnati 2 coming to Kennesaw to take on Atlanta United 2. 5 o'clock start. After we're done, 8 o'clock start in Frisco, Texas. It is Atlanta United and FC Dallas. Mike and Jason have your pregame show at 8 o'clock. Kickoff at 8:39 on 92.9 The Game, the Odyssey app, digital tuners, however you do it. Also, after that match is over, it is the unified match finale. We'll see if we can catch up with Marty Jellamy next week. Now that I think about it, let me write that down. Marty Jellamy next week on the show. We're also trying to catch up with folks about the documentary that came out about the 404 kit. And it is the unified team's season finale after the match in Frisco. That'll be on ATLUTD.com. It'll be Jason and the Hoff on the call there. So here's your rundown. Here's how it's going to be. Full day for you on Saturday, on your devices, in person, on the road. Once again, the Twos, soccerdownhere.net, SDH app, live and in color, 4:45 pregame, 5 o'clock kick, 5:03. FC Cincinnati 2 visits Atlanta United 2. After we're done, 92.9 The Game, Odyssey app, Mike and Jason, 8 o'clock Eastern for your pregame show, 8:39 kick, Atlanta United, FC Dallas. When that match is done, Jason gets to properly hydrate, and it is Jason and the Hoff, Joe Fryhofer, host at halftime and arena host. You know the Hoff. He has got the perfect hair. So Jason and the Hoff, after Atlanta United, FC Dallas, will do the unified game, the unified season finale for them, for Marty Jellamy and his crew. That'll be on the Atlanta United website, ATLUTD.com. So the twos, the first team, the unified team, all Saturday from 4:45 until probably midnight. You've got all the Atlanta United teams going after it, and you can catch it on SDH app, 92.9 The Game, Odyssey app, ATLUTD.com. Busy Saturday. Very, very cool. Like I said, we'll try to catch up with Marty Jelmy and find out about the unified team next week and see what's going on with them and find out and kind of get their season wrap and let everybody know more about the unified team. Because when we went up there in late June for the match at Red Bulls, Liam Stewart, one of the all-stars for the Atlanta United unified team, got to score his first ever goal in competition. So we'll find out about the unified team after the match next week when they go out to Dallas. When they come back here to town, we'll catch up with Marty Jelmy next week and find out more about the United unified team. Also next week, planning on catching up with Lloyd Hours. We finally tracked him down. Lloyd's back in London, back in England with his coaching, and we'll find out about the Marshall Islands project. So we're going to be all over the place next week with some teams playing matches, international windows. We'll go through all that stuff as best we can. We might even talk about ACC expansion. Who knows? But busy Saturday on the network. Busy, and we'll catch up with folks coming up next week about all of that stuff. So very busy Saturday here on the network. Now, let's get into what you guys were discussing when we were talking about the deathiest group of death ever. I think, Four-Card, you're right. I think it was the deathiest group of death ever. Four-Card thinks Sevilla is going to finish third, then go on to win the Europa League. You're probably not wrong. Abby's 404 kit came, personalized kit. I like it. I like the 404 kit. I like stuff that's different. And, but no, like I said, I like the 404 kit when it came out. And it's like I said, especially the documentary and all the stories behind it and all that kind of stuff and what it represents, because Atlanta does influence everything, bottom line. So we will wear them proudly. And I've worn mine a couple times. And so it's been fun to see how the response has been for that kit. 2 more home games for wearing of 2 more games, 1 more home game for the 404 kit. Group of death in Europa League is Group B. Group F or G in Conference League seems the toughest. Yes, Ricky. Miggy Mbappe, Miggy Pulisic back to Dortmund, Pulisic versus Gio, Tonali back to Milan. So it's not just the teams themselves. You have storylines. If you can't tell stories from what's going on in Champions League, especially in that group of, oh my holy God, you got problems. But don't sleep on the other groups. This would be my request for those of you who are covering the tournament, including us. Don't just spend all of your time on the group of, oh my holy God. Yes, it's got fantastic subplot. Newcastle coming in. And the first thing that popped into my head when I saw that group completed was, sorry, Alex. Absolutely. So we'll get into all of that coming up in just a little bit. But yes, groups of death, storylines, all these kinds of things that are going on. And we will be completely and totally discussing any and all of it. Last time this guy was on the show, he was north of the border. So we had our first cross-border experience. We had our first north of the border experience in this particular segment. Now he's back. He's back on this side of the border. If I'm looking correctly at the background, I think he's on this side of the Great Lakes. So it's very, very cool once again to have this guy back in the fold once again, where we get to talk about stuff. That's the official term because it's 9:30 on a Friday. That means one thing. It's time to catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals. Oh, I love the artwork behind you, Greg. Nice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. My mom helped me out on that one.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not the so artistic or artsy type of person. Just I got a lot of art on my body, but other than that, how are you? I was you're right. Last time we spoke, I was in Toronto, and I just got back a few days ago, right before the Atlanta United Academy dinner. I was in San Diego for a week. Had to take care of some stuff there as well. So.
Well, I mean, so let's start there. How was the Academy dinner? What was it like to see some familiar faces and see some faces that are a part of the Atlanta United fold? What was that like?
Oh, for sure. We got to speak to so many different people. We got to meet a lot of different people who have kind of made this possible for us. And just, I look at those kids and I say, man, what a privilege to have things like that. Right? I hope each and every one of those kids leaves that dinner and doesn't become complacent with where they are and says to themselves, holy, this is something that every kid would ever dream of. So I have to hold myself to a very high standard and use it to something to continue to follow their dreams, right? They are an initial investment to an organization that wants them to succeed in becoming pro, but ultimately it's up to them to take it as far as they want.
I mean, what are those interactions like? Because I know that we are all in a situation like that. We are, we love the fact that we're there. I mean, and this is something that is at Mercedes-Benz. This is on the turf at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I mean, if you are a young student athlete, young man, young woman, what have you, and you come walking out and all of these tables and all this presentation is there and you're on the field at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I mean, it should be, I think, one, awe-inspiring to begin with, but two, it shows you the level of investment that Atlanta United has in anyone who's attached to the organization.
Most definitely. Yeah, no telling how much that dinner cost for all those kids. But yeah, I think one of the main things for me was just to see how much support each and every one of those kids have. Whether it's from the coaching staff, the front office staff, so many people that, even Garth being there, right? There's so many people that were there in support of what their future is. And it's a huge commitment on their part, but it's also, within that commitment comes a major responsibility. And I think, over the years, that's what I kept telling kids that kept coming up and asking or anything, or I just kept telling them, like, look at what you have in front of you, right? Don't sometimes think too much about what you truly want in life and what your true dream is, but just live this moment right now. Live this moment right now and understand how important it is for you to be here, but how proud of yourself that you can be of being here. But with that pride and with that confidence that I'm sure this will give comes a lot of responsibility. And I think I got a question from one of their kids yesterday, actually, in a mentoring session, and it was, the first question he asked, because he just got called into the youth national team, and it's going to be his very first camp, and that was his question: is what did I feel going through that whole entire process? And I just told him, look, you already have a responsibility with wearing the Atlanta United crest on your close to your heart, right? And that's already a huge responsibility. But the U.S. national team one is just there's no comparison. There's no comparison of the type of role model. There's no comparison of the type of person that you have to be, the type of leader you have to be, and it's a lot different than every other kid that is at Atlanta United, because you now have to hold yourself when you go back to that same standard of what it means to represent your country. And that's I think that's the main message for me and those kids that are there, even at Atlanta United, is to understand the responsibility that comes behind it, the role models that they have to be. I always tell kids in our first session, that my kids look up more to them than they do to me. And it's true. Even my own kids, Dad, we don't care that you won MLS. We don't care that you won Liga MX. We don't care that you got to play against Ronaldinho 5 times. I want to be these kids, And so that's something that's very, very special for each and every one of those kids to understand and realize.
And I mean, because you never know who you're going to rub off on, and every interaction is important in its own way in the one-on-one interactions, but you never know how wide that circle is going to get, and you never know what those responses and that rubbing off is going to look like. I mean, it's like the old shampoo commercial, and I told 2 friends and they told 2 friends and so on and so on and so on. You don't know the value of that first person you touch and how exponentially it will grow and how you get to rub off on others you may not even see.
For sure. Most definitely. No, you are absolutely right. One crazy comment, though, that has nothing to do with this, but it has to do with the stadium, is that we were inside that stadium when the storm hit a few days ago. And that is the first time I've ever, you could not hear the person in front of you speak. That's how loud that stadium is when rain hits. We've never experienced it before because we always have thousands of people in there and you hear the people rather than the rain. Sometimes you can tell with the far glass or whatever that they have that it is raining. But that is the first time I've been in that stadium to when no one is in it and you cannot, it's so loud with the rain hitting on that stadium that you cannot hear the person in front of you speaking. And that Parky and I we were amazed by it. It was like, oh, this is quite an eerie feeling. If you're here by yourself and you hear the rain so loud with no one in that stadium.
That's crazy to think about that. There's a couple hundred folks on the field having their incredible moment there in the building, but then Mother Nature just kind of sits there and she's knocking on the door and it's just like, okay, step back for a sec. I got some work to do.
Yeah, I think they raised up the volume of the music whenever that started to happen. Yeah,
it's just when you have moments like what you guys got to experience, what you and Parky got to experience with the Academy kickoff dinner and all those kinds of things. I mean, how much reminiscing do you do yourself about, man? And it's great that they've got this. I wish I had something like this, or my experiences that I had in these environments, they compare, but they don't compare. We had our moments. They were different. They weren't as large as it was in Mercedes-Benz. What I mean, when you think back to your initial interactions with the older members and the first team and organizations like that, how does it compare?
I think there is no comparison. Even I always look back to like being a youth player, and going through very prestigious academies throughout my youth career. I'm some of the best in the world. But there was nothing in comparison to what those kids experienced that day. Those kids have something that is extremely special, an organization that is backing them in various different ways. Not only them, but their families. It's an interesting way to go about things, I think, because, I think one of the major messages that Mike and I have for kids is that life is never going to be fair.
Right.
And sometimes, I feel I love the fact that those kids got to experience that. And I hope they, each and every one of them, right, like I said, with that pride comes that great responsibility of understanding what it means to put on that shirt and what it means to have that moment. And Parky said it so well when he spoke at the front. He said, look, just don't take this for granted, right? Don't take this for granted. Don't become complacent. That's the worst thing that you could probably ever do is just become complacent and not want more out of what you currently have. And, there were kids. There was one kid that this is the crazy stat. There was only one kid out of every single, there were 100 kids there, right? One kid that has ever done every single one of those dinners. From
Wow.
the age of 10 years old, he's done all 8 dinners, and it's cool. He's one of our mentees. So it's cool to see how far he's come. But that goes to show me that, man, the numbers are, it's a tough environment to be in. And he's not becoming pro right now, right? He's going to college. He's getting a full ride. I'm assuming he's getting a full ride to wherever he's going. But you know, it's a rough road for a lot of those kids ahead. But can they understand that those moments, even right then, are like moments that they strive to be in?
What's it like for you and Parky to have these full circle moments with the organization where you come in, you're a part of the successes on the pro side, and now you get to come back in and help out the younger members of the organization? What's it like? What's it been like for the two of you to have these full circle moments now?
Yeah, I think more than anything, you always, especially Mike and I always talk about it for these kids. We just want to serve as big brothers, serve as guys that can lead them the right way. And also just using not necessarily that success that we had within a team, but even just that badge of becoming a champion and wearing it on our sleeve around those kids, just to show them what's possible, right? Show them what can be possible, but in the most righteous ways.
Right.
And I think that's what's most important to me, is because there are players out there that are damn good players. There are players out there that are amazing players, but I think it takes much more than just being a good player, and having success and in life, and not only in soccer, but also in life. That it becomes something to where being that good person and trying to serve as a role model on every platform that you're given, that's much more valuable. And I think Parky and I have done well enough in our careers to represent all of that in one. And for those kids, I think that's what sticks out the most, is that, man, these two guys are hopefully, really down to earth people, and they're also just regular people. There's nothing crazy about these guys. Don't walk in and, it's we're very, very personable and can speak to everyone. And I think that's for those kids, I think that's the most important role I think I can play, is just to show them the value of what it means to be a great person. And hopefully, I always, I'm such a religious cat on that. It's like the more generous you are, the more you shall receive. Right. And so I think, those are words from the Bible, and those are ways to live life, in my opinion. And that's kind of what I want those kids to understand. And, Parky said it perfectly also as well. He said, it's your individual success means nothing if there is no collective success. And you will have more individual success if there is an amount of collective success. And that's so true. I signed my biggest contracts in my career when I had success around the team that I was playing for, rather than doing extremely well individually. And so that goes for all those kids as well, something to understand along the way.
Yeah, I think what is, and I'm paraphrasing here, is that what you give out, you get back tenfold. I think is how it's phrased. How long did it take you? And maybe this is something that you can look at with Parky as well, from the time that you guys interact. How long did it take you to become comfortable as a role model, as a player, and as a mentor, in those two separate tracks? Or are you still trying to become comfortable as a role model, as a mentor?
I think when you are a player, I think it's a lot of BS if a player says, and you see it a lot in like other sports, whether it be the NBA or the NFL, or these guys that say, I'm not a role model. I can do what I want. It's my life. I can do whatever I want. And I think that's pure BS, because the amount of people that watch under those guys, right? Those guys are automatically looking over everybody else. But you automatically serve as a role model given the platform that you're given. And so it's up to you how you handle certain situations. It's up to you. That said, we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to make some mistake in our careers or in our lives to not necessarily question, but just be human. And I think, but I do think when you are that player and you are given that opportunity to play in front of thousands of people, or have kids come to all your appearances and take pictures with you and all those kinds of different things, you serve as a huge role model for those people. And I think one of the most gratifying things, hopefully for Parky, but for me, is now as a mentor, I'll speak to parents, and these are parents that know who I am and kind of how I served the community of Atlanta whenever I played. It's like an automatic yes, I want my kid to be mentored by you, because of, it has nothing to do with, yes, you were hell of a good left back. That's we want, and most of the time, I'd say more than 85% of the time, it's because, man, we loved the role model that you were off the field, and I would love for my son to follow in those footsteps. And that for me is what it's all about, right? Serving these kids in a way to where, yeah, we're using soccer as as the platform, but we're really helping these kids understand life hacks and life skills, and helping them not only be successful in whatever they choose to do, but have the right way to go about it as well.
And servant leadership, I mean, is something that I've come across in all of the sports that I've covered over time. And there are those who immediately jump in and understand the idea of servant leadership, whether it's a coach or a student athlete or whatever. And to see an adult who is a coach or a mentor, and to see a student or a student athlete understand, like when the light comes on, it's like, oh, okay, this really is important, and I need to carry myself in a way, because once again, it goes back to, you never know who you're going to touch. And it could be directly in that one-on-one interaction like you and Parky have with your mentees, or it could be through word of mouth or conversation. Yeah, I was catching up with so-and-so and they were great. And, I was around so-and-so and they weren't that great. And so you never know where word of mouth is going. You never know who you're going to touch. You never know how you're going to touch them. And all of these different things are as important as they can be, whether you're an adult who's been at it a while and knows how to carry yourself, or that student or a student athlete, that young man or woman who's learning how to do it for the first time and getting that first round of pleasure and enjoyment of spreading all of that good stuff that can come from inside.
Most definitely. Right. There's, I think within my whole entire career, I've understood that, it's all about the relationships that you make. Right. Yeah. It's all about the relationships that you make, but how you carry those relationships is everything epitomized in everything that you just mentioned.
Michael Valverde's in, he says, at the very least, a pro athlete should display an attitude of gratitude. And it's something that I don't think we see a lot or enough of these days, sadly.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, that spot, I think it never comes to mind for pro athletes until something not terrible happens, but something
setback.
Yeah, setbacks and a moment of adversity. But I think it's not given. It can be taken away from you the next day. I mean, if you look at the NFL, their average contract is 2.5 years, right? Their average lifespan within their career is 2.5 years. So it's like how you make the most of those 2.5 years and create those unforgettable moments is extremely important.
Yeah, Greg Garza here hanging out with us. Is he and Michael Parkhurst do Fridays when they're not traveling the planet at 9:30 Eastern time for the Friday Free Kick, and our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring at BG Mentoring on the 280 character app, whatever they call it these days. And it's always great to catch up with Greg and Parky and find out what's going on as they continue to grow as mentors and impact mentees virtually, in person lessons? I mean, what's it like for you to juggle geography in this day and age of mentees and how you can reach out to them and touch them? And it's like, could be like what we're doing here now, could be in person. What's it like to be able to reach mentees in all these different ways?
I mean, for me, it's just passing down the wisdom and knowledge and everything, all the experiences that I've learned within my career. And I always had coaches tell me back in the day, some really good coaches say, you know, when you play, they're very small. There's going to be a smaller amount of amazing moments than there are challenges that you face within your career. And that is so true. I think I faced so many more challenges within my career rather than celebrating amazing moments. And that's like my biggest piece of advice for kids is to understand that the struggle will be real, right? There will be challenges that they have to overcome. There will be challenges that they have to face, but ultimately it's up to them how they want to face those challenges. So that's my biggest one for sure. Yeah, most definitely that one.
Do they get that initially? Do they understand that bless you. Do they understand that the struggle is going to be real and that you will have everything is not just going to be the upward climb? I mean, it's going to be cliffhanger at points. It's going to be the labor of Sisyphus where you've got the big boulder and you're in the valley and you push the boulder all the way up to the crest of the hill, and then you get gassed, and then the boulder goes all the way back down and you've got to start the process over again. Do they understand that you're going to have these labors, or are their heads level going into this, or do you have to have some serious talks at times?
I think there are moments that you have to have serious talks. I think, and we've talked about that before, John, right? It's like most parents reach out to us, or most kids reach out to us when there's already a fire.
Yeah.
Right. To try and put it out. And most of the time it will work. But Parky always says it best, like, reach out to us beforehand.
Right.
So you know how to deal when that fire, happens. And that's probably a huge one that I've seen so far within what we do, is that sometimes we seek help. Sometimes, I mean, we're even guilty of it, right? I'm even guilty of it. Sometimes we seek help when the problem is already there, rather than trying to figure out, okay, what steps can I take when that problem does arise, to help myself in those moments.
And I mean, you bring that point up, and I think that maybe a lot of it just comes from focusing in a linear fashion, where we're always, head down, hands forward. Everything is about that push. And then because you have that plan in place, it's a linear plan. It's not a three-dimensional plan. It's not an if then. It's like, okay, this is it. This is what's going to happen. And then when it doesn't, that's when we reach out. I don't know how many of us these days think in that three-dimensional tone, or think of it like a flow chart, instead of thinking of it as a straight line. I mean, that, like I said, that's just me thinking out loud and trying to process this as almost like we're workshopping this whole thing. But I mean, that to me just seems like that's how we're wired these days. We're wired linearly instead of as a flow chart. Does that make sense?
Most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And it's just, when you want to process the information, then to your point, it's like, something's wrong here. I've hit this roadblock. I've hit this pothole. And it's because I was thinking this way and not thinking about, there's other lanes of traffic that I can move the car into to work my way around. I don't know if that's a generational thing or not. Do you with your mentees sense that they are looking at things in three dimensions, the mentees themselves, maybe not necessarily the parents, because those of us of a certain age may just be thinking linearly. It's like, you'll get this done, you'll do this, and you'll go in a straight line. Do the mentees think in three dimensions more than adults do these days?
I think so. I think so. I think the younger the kids are and the younger they're able to go through these types of situations, the more resilient it makes them, and the more it helps them understand what perseverance is. And yeah, there's valuable lessons to be learned in each and every, phase that these kids go through. Obviously, us as parents, we never want our kids to go through or suffer through anything, right? But I always do tell people, look, I want my kid to lose. I want my kid to suffer. I want my kid to go through certain things that'll help him and make him stronger. It's okay to be emotional after a game, right? It's okay to be, you want these kids to feel things. You want them to feel out things, to build that resilience and make them tougher along the way, right? And I think that's one thing that I've learned is like, when kids lose a game and the parents you tell them, no, don't cry. That shows that you're weak. And, it's okay to cry when you lose, man. It's okay to cry when you lose, but it's how what you learn from that is more valuable than anything else. You got to let it out. But once you do let it out, then, okay, what do I take from that? But yeah, I'd say last few minutes, what do we think of the 404 ATL
I like it.
jersey?
I like it, man. You don't?
Man, I was at the training facility the other day.
Yeah.
And I think I asked as many players as I could if they liked the jersey, and I won't tell you what their answer was.
Okay. Well, I can kind of guess what the answer is by you not telling me what the answer is. All right, so let's get into United here for the final couple of minutes. But I do want to talk. Next time you're back, since you went down the road about being emotional and being resilient, I want to bookmark that, and we'll talk about that next time. The East is chaos. It is absolute chaos, and it is a match by match pressure because basically 2 through 7 are separated by a good week in match compression right now. And any team that could be like top in the East or chasing the number 2 spot in the Eastern Conference behind Cincy would be number 2 in the West right now, and close to breathing down St. Louis's neck. What's it been like for you to sit there and see this chaos that's going on in the Eastern Conference where every match means something, and now that you've got like 8 matches to go, it means that much more?
The fact that you have 8 matches left and the points are that close together, it was funny because I did speak to Gonzalo at the dinner, and I was like, man, you know this league. It's 2 good games, 3 good games, and you're clinched, right? That's all you need. So which games are you going to pick out of those 8 games to have good games in? Because that's all you need. This league more than anybody, John, is that it takes a couple of wins in a row and you can jump up from last place and be in 3rd place.
Yeah.
And so they just have to find that consistency within doing so. The game was it against Nashville?
Yeah, the 4-0 Butler.
That was like one of the most electrifying games I witnessed on TV, but one of the most electrifying games that I think I've seen maybe since 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that like it was just attack. Were there moments to where I was like, oh my gosh, like this could go the other way?
Yep.
Most definitely. I think we were correct that we've only got 7 more games, not 8.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah.
But that game reminded me of back in the day. We didn't care about defending, right? We knew we were good enough to score 4 goals, and if they scored 3, we still won the game 4-3.
Hit him again, hit him again.
Yep. And that was like Tata's philosophy is that if the game ends up 7-4, I don't care. We won 7-4. I don't care about a clean sheet. Whereas Brad's punching the locker when we get back in the locker room because he didn't keep the clean sheet, guys. But Tata didn't care. We won 7-4. Mm-hmm. So it's like that reminded me of that. Like there were moments to where I think Muamba gave the ball up in the top of the D.
Oh,
it could have changed the whole entire game. There was another chance that somebody else had. Maybe Mukhtar had another one, but it was like the game would have ended up 4-2 and we still would have won, right? But it could have changed the course of the game, maybe. But like it was exciting. That's the word. It was an exciting game to watch, and we've definitely missed that for a very, very, very long time within that stadium.
All right, the Heat, Dallas. It's going to be like 7 gazillion degrees, and they're going to be playing on the surface of the sun. What's the biggest thing in dealing with matches with heat that you have to face and control?
Just thinking into your mind that we're both going through the same thing. we both have to deal with this. I don't care. I'm from Dallas. My parents live there, and it's been over 45 days, like over 100 degrees. It doesn't matter if you've lived there your whole entire life. My mom calls me every day and she says, it is freaking hot. Like every single day is a complaint. So it's they're dealing with the same. Those guys have no advantage whatsoever. So it's kind of how can you manage the mental side of it?
All right. What's going on with Beyond Goals?
Same as always, man. Continue to grow, continue to do great things out there in the community. And, obviously having this new opportunity to be involved with Atlanta United is something that we strive for and we really worked hard for. And hopefully we can continue not only with Atlanta United, but also move into other academies as well.
I like that. Greg Garza and our friends at Beyond Goals at BG Mentoring on the Twitters with the Twitterless, 280 characterless X-list Greg Garza. Greg, my friend, it's always great to catch up with you at 9:30 on Friday mornings. Be safe.
John. I appreciate it. Have a good day, man. Have a good weekend.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Greg. Greg is going to enjoy his coffee and his breakfast and do other things. No, it does. Yeah, when it's 7,000 degrees on the surface of the sun, that would be unsustainable. Yes, that is absolutely correct. It is 10 o'clock. So that means one thing, and I've got to figure out once again to make sure that I don't loop a track and get things going, and we're going to read a promo. And it's from our friends at Lemonize Service. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you who are watching on the social media platforms, on the Twitch, on the Twitters, and on the Facebook. Clutter-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's a Lemonize Service. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonize Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process offered by Lemonize. It sounds good. Like I said, I don't do houses, so I don't know what turnkey process is. It sounds good. Turnkey process because it makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment that I do know about. I recycle. Every Monday I recycle. Kind of the environment offering a very green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or any other masking agent that we have in our house, either under the sink or above us in the cupboard, because when we reach under the sink or above us in the cupboard to get said masking agent and bring it out into the room in question, when you spray the masking agent in the room, there's a reason they call it a masking agent, because all you're doing is masking the odor. You're not attacking the problem like our friends at Lemonize Service do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing very, very easy. One of two ways, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, and come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. This is where I grab my pen, because how do you reach out to a Lemonize? What you do is you go to their website, but you do us a favor here at SDH. After lemonize.com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that they are hearing from you from, that you are addressing them from, hearing from you from. Too many froms. Lemonize.com /Atlanta so they know that you are referencing them from a particular location. So your full homework assignment. ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta. Lemonize.com /Atlanta. A Lemonize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH on a Friday. And so now that we have completed hour number one, it is time for hour number two. And we get to go over everything going on in Major League Soccer, all of the games that are going on, all of the moves. Because remember, once again, it's transfer deadline day overseas. So your favorite teams are making moves, hopefully, possibly, probably. Ansu Fati from Barca to Brighton on loan for the season. Big move for Roberto De Zerbi and Brighton. It looks like Brennan Johnson, somewhere between 40 and 50 million. That is a go from Nottingham Forest to Spurs. Now, what is Nottingham Forest going to do in trying to get a scorer up top? That is a question. News out of Cincinnati, Roman Celentano has been signed to a long-term contract extension. For those of you that use him in fantasy, you can understand why. Let's see. What else is going on? We have more than $45 million for Brennan Johnson. Noel Buck in New England is going to be making his first appearance for the England U19s. So he is a grand multinational, Wales, England, and the United States, called up by the England U19s, one of the biggest prospects in Major League Soccer. He's been with U.S. youth teams before, also eligible for Wales, but he's going to be spending his next go-round with the England U19. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's see. Let's go into gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get into everything else and everybody else. Let's see. Let's go to our friend Ben Jacobs and see what Ben has going on this morning. Traditionally, very, very busy. And let's see. What do we have? Al-Ittihad is waiting to see whether Mo Salah will help push for a move in any way. Hasn't happened to date. Salah committed and focused on Sunday's match with Aston Villa. Reports he may fly to Jeddah tonight or wide off the mark, quoting Jacobs. Nothing will happen unless Liverpool change their position. And in any case, Al-Ittihad do somehow succeed. The medical is planned for Dubai. Second offer now ready, even though Liverpool made it clear they don't want to sell. Salah has been offered around £180 million, all earning opportunities considered on a 3-year deal. Basic salary about £65 million. He would get a significant sign-on bonus. Second offer of $175 is expected. First bid was only verbal. Al-Ittihad sources are adamant that they are going to try again. Guaranteed fee of 40 of the 45 for Brennan Johnson, according to Ben Jacobs. And Ansu Fati paying about 80% of his wages. That is a massive deal for Brighton. Brighton bringing in Fati on loan, and also for Barca, to where Brighton is going to pay about 80% of Ansu Fati's wages. That's big. Amrabat, Sofian Amrabat on his way to Manchester for a medical. United reached an agreement with Fiorentina for a season-long loan with a further option to buy for a package of €25 million. Pochettino was asked about Chelsea hitting £1 billion in spending over the last 3 windows. He also does rightly point out that they have sold a lot of players. And there's also the anticipation that there will be an egress from Chelsea today. So keep an eye on Chelsea as a club. Ricky says that Mo Salah has left Liverpool's training ground, courtesy of our friends at Deadline Day Live. Are we getting closer? We getting closer to a number? 175? Do I hear 200? Sky Sports News, as of 14 minutes ago, says he's left. Sky Sports News, 14 minutes ago, he's left the training facility. He's left the training facility. I feel like I should do it like this. Mo Salah has left the training facility. So there you go. Cole Palmer has signed on for Chelsea. Looked like it was for 35. We'll keep an eye on that as well. Let's see. Southampton have blocked the proposed Che Adams transfer to Wolves due to extend his Saints contract and go out on loan with a £15 million option to buy that could become an obligation. The deal is currently off, according to David Ornstein and Jacob Tanswell. The fee, according to Ornstein, Spurs have agreed to pay Forest for Brennan is actually $47.5 million fixed, no add-ons. Included in the deal is a 10% sell-on to Forest if Spurs trade him at a later date. So we'll keep an eye on that. We mentioned Amrabat. Matt Hargreaves has flown to Italy to try to sign Amrabat to make that deal go down by the end of the day. Sergio Reguilon has signed a Manchester United contract. Final paperwork being completed before the move to Spurs is confirmed. He exits Spurs on a season-long loan, no fee or buy option, break clause in January, full wage covered by Manchester United. A few extenuating circumstances behind Ryan Gravenberch's struggles at Bayern Munich. Part of the article required reading is over at The Athletic. Gravenberch is on Merseyside to undergo a medical this morning before completing the €40 million transfer from Bayern Munich to Liverpool. If all goes according to plan, he'll sign a 5-year deal. Let's see. Where are we? Okay, so there is. We've taken care of that as we sit here and buzz through all of this stuff. And thanks, as always, to all of you who are faster on the fingers than I am. 11 p.m. in England, midnight in Scotland. So 11 p.m. -5, 6 o'clock tonight is when everything shuts down. So 6 o'clock tonight is when everything shuts down. Cole Palmer to Chelsea for $42.5 million. Altay Bayindir, the goalkeeper, Fenerbahce to Manchester United for $4.3 million. Nuno Tavares alone, Arsenal to Nottingham Forest. Tommy Doyle alone, Manchester City to Wolves. Nunez official, Wolves to Manchester City for $53 million. Clement Lenglet, Barcelona to Aston Villa on a loan. That should help out their back line. We mentioned the Ansu Fati loan by Brighton. That's huge. Absolutely huge. Let's see. Liverpool, $34.2 million for Gravenberch. Chelsea signed City's Palmer to take Bowley spending over $1 billion. De Zerbi delighted with the pickup of Ansu Fati. I would be too. Remember, Saudi Arabia's deadline for transfers is September 7. France's deadline, 5 o'clock today. Spain's, 6 o'clock today. Italy's is 7 p.m. So 7 p.m. Italy, I guess it's coming up like noon. Germany, 5 o'clock, which would be coming up pretty soon, if not already passed, waiting for paperwork to pass. England, once again, is 11 o'clock or 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock tonight. Ross Stewart completed his Southampton medical ahead of a £10 million move from Sunderland. We mentioned Brian Johnson. Sunderland finalizing a loan deal from Mason Burstow from Chelsea. AC Milan had also been in line to try and pick that up. Brentford close to signing Neil Maupay on loan from Everton. Graham Arnold, Bam, I'm sorry. Graham Arnold has ruled himself out as a candidate for Hibs. Sky Sports News said he was keen to consider the role. Now he's withdrawn his candidacy. Hibs already working on finalizing a short list to replace Lee Johnson. Roy Hodgson at Palace confirms an interest in Rob Holding from Arsenal. It appears also that Alex Iwobi is going to Fulham from Everton. Everton maybe has some other things in mind. Let's see. Ibrahim Sangare to Nottingham Forest. It's a here we go from Fabrizio Romano. Agreement in place with PSV on a £35 million package deal, including add-ons at Nottingham Forest. Sangare traveling later after the deal in place is reported. Personal terms agreed. Vlachodimos on his way. Hudson-Odoi completes a medical. So, Sangare PSV for £30 million for Fabrizio Romano. Sunderland, very, very busy in the lower ranks. Divock Origi, Burnley remain in talks with AC Milan over the loan signing of striker Divock Origi. Player remains in Milan waiting for the green light to fly to the UK. Deal is in place, according to Sky. Contractual details being finalized. Two teams in France also keen. Origi played alongside Vincent Kompany for Belgium. Let's see. We mentioned Brennan Johnson as an update. So we'll stick there for now when it comes to things that have happened. Get into the gossip, rumor, and innuendo and things left unsaid. Let's see. We mentioned Brendan Johnson. Spurs also weighing up a late transfer window bid for Conor Gallagher. That's from the Telegraph. Fulham rejected an opening offer from Bayern for Joao Palhinha, 90 minutes. Bayern Munich reached a verbal agreement with Palhinha over a contract. Players told Fulham he wants to move to the German champs. Fulham have contacted Manchester United over a potential deal for Scott McTominay as they try to line up a replacement for Palhinha. Tottenham and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg also being viewed as a potential option to replace Palhinha, who Fulham value at $60 million. Fulham also ready to hijack the Nottingham Forest deal for Monaco's midfielder Youssouf Fofana, Football Insider. Bayern Munich have backed away from talks with Chelsea over Trevor Chalobah after the Blues declined to lower their £50 million asking price for the center back. Rocco Camiso on the Amrabat deal says there are many negotiations in progress. Amrabat will stay at the club if the deal for his exit cannot be agreed. We've already progressed that one with other conversations from other sources since this first came out. Wolves have had an inquiry for Harrison Reed, knocked back by Fulham, who are keen to tie the midfielder to a new deal. Let's see. Brentford have lodged a club record bid of $34 million for Eindhoven forward Johan Bakayoko. Spurs have rejected an offer from Burnley for Eric Dyer. English defender Yaphet Tanganga close to leaving Spurs to join German side Augsburg on loan. Keenan Davis close to completing a permanent move from Villa to Udinese from Nicolo Schira. Bonucci was the big move that I wanted to talk about. Bonucci reached a verbal agreement to join Union Berlin on a permanent deal from Juve. Juve froze him out. Fabrizio Romano now reporting Bonucci to Union Berlin. Let's see. Wolves also considered a move for Kelechi Iheanacho to boast attacking options in the squad. That's from the four-letter paper. Milan's move for Porto forward Mehdi Taremi appears to have broken down when a new agent was introduced to the process after the clubs had agreed to basically a £13 million fee from La Gazzetta dello Sport. We mentioned the Sangare deal. Fulham have reopened talks with Chelsea over Callum Hudson-Odoi as Forest were closing in on a deal. Hannibal Mabry has been promised an important role at Manchester United if he stays beyond the closure of the transfer window, with the Tunisian midfielder attracting interest from Sevilla and Anderlecht. And Southampton have agreed to a deal with Sunderland that could rise to $12 million to sign Scottish striker Ross Stewart. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on things, and you guys are faster staring at like Deadline Day and things like that. Apparently, you can watch Deadline Day on the stream on Sky. At least they're saying so. I don't know if it's geo-blocked or not, so we'll keep an eye on all of that. D. Graham about Dallas. Lived there for 12 and a half years and only feels hot at 105. Actually played 18 holes after work when it was 110. You worked outside, too. You were a braver man than I. You're a braver man than I. Amelia was talking about trying to score 4 goals a game. Yes. So, Abby, yeah, Ricky, she's waiting for Salah leaving the EPL. I still have no interest in the Saudi Pro League at all. None, not interested, not watching, don't care. So not happening for me. Obviously, one of the bigger stories today has to do in college football. Crossover promotion. We'll be discussing the Cal SMU Stanford move. It's official comments from the ACC Board of Directors, James Ryan and Commissioner Jim Phillips. They're welcoming them to the conference. Cal, SMU, and Stanford to the ACC, the college football show over at OSG Sports. Don't forget to download the OSG Sports app as well, available on iOS and Android. Obviously, we'll be talking about that, and that'll be out on Sunday after all the games have occurred. Also on the board this morning, let's see if there's anything that is in. I admit that I have one hand currently looking at transfers from the writers that I have earmarked. So this might be a bit of a chaotic day. If you have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and say it. If you have any questions about the weekend with Dallas or anything like that, go ahead and post them. We'll talk about them as we go. Fabrizio Romano, Joao Cancelo to Barcelona. Here we go. Manchester City, Barca finally exchanging documents to get the deal signed today. Joao is prepared to travel to Barcelona tonight. Loan deal with a buy option clause included. So Joao Cancelo to Barca. Probably it was the Fati wages being picked up by Brighton that is allowing for the Cancelo wages to be picked up by Barca. So we'll keep an eye. Tom, so do they change the name of the conference then? Surely you can't keep it as the ACC. I think you could. You just call it the All Coast Conference. 3 time zones, 12 different states. D. Graham, Papu Gomez in Sevilla terminated contract. Could he be an option if the Chiade deal is negated because he can't get his visa? Kuz. I don't know. I don't know if Papu Gomez would fit philosophically. There's always a talent that you can have in Papu Gomez, but, that is a question for folks who have a pay grade higher than mine. There's got to be a reason that Sevilla terminated the contract of Papu Gomez. And also, you'd have to fit him in. Probably the biggest thing, D. Graham, would be the salary number. Yes, I know we can look at LAFC and other places and sit there and figure it out, but the roster and salary machinations, that would be the big issue. So keep an eye on that. Michael Valverde is a Reds fan, truly ambivalent about Mo to Saudi, and I've loved Mo for a long time. Michael, some folks may look at it where if you want to bring in somebody for the final, 7 matches or so, you're kicking the tires. If it's a loan, it's just like you sign him for the remainder of the season. And if you see something at the end of the year, if you see promise, you try to negotiate something else. It's like picking up a player at the trade deadline in Major League Baseball. You hope that they'll make you get you over the hump for whatever reason. At least that's what I think anyway. If you're going to pick up somebody, then it would be for that push to get you over the top, whatever you conceive as over the top as being, and then going from there. So, so I admit that today I have one eye on what's going on overseas in addition to everything else. So, all right, let's get into juice boxes in Major League Soccer. And like I said, if there's any other questions you guys have as we go ahead and post them, and we'll keep talking. And if anything is going on that you guys see in transfer world, we'll go ahead and talk about that too. Let me get the where's my juice boxes? Did I eliminate my juice boxes? I think I did. All right, so juice boxes and viewing and everything that is attached to the soccer world here in the United States. Yes, I'm filibustering. I admit it. You got matches going on. We'll go over also what you can watch on TV today. And starting off tomorrow, NYC and Vancouver. NYC is favored at a -105. Your draw and Vancouver are basically the same at a +270. Looking at that particular matchup, let me see first off and see if it's at Yankee Stadium or if it is, and it's at 3:30. It's on season pass, and it is at Yankee Stadium. It's 6-10-11 hosts 10-8-7. NYCFC has won 3 of the 6 all time. Most recent match was a goalless draw last season in Vancouver. That was the only match NYCFC has failed to score multiple goals in a match in the fixture. NYC's 2-0 win over Montreal on Wednesday. 3rd win in 22 matches in all comps. They've lost half of them, dating back to late April. Vancouver's won 3 consecutive away matches in all comps for the first time since 2015. Andres Jason scored 2 of his last 3 MLS matches, failing to score in his first 47. Americans have scored 7 goals for NYCFC this season, most in a single year for the club since 17. Brian White has scored in each of his last 4 regular season road matches. I'm going draw. I know that it's chaos going to play at Yankee Stadium, but I'm going to go draw. I'm going to go draw there. CF Montreal and Crew. That's part of your 7:30s, and there's a lot of 7:30s. I think there are 6 7:30s, 4 7:30s. I was thinking of other leagues. Montreal hosting Crew at Stade Saputo. Basically, the juice box purveyors have put a blanket over this whole matchup. Montreal and Crew within the margin of error, anywhere from a +156 to a +159. Both of them. Basically, they're like even money here. Draws at a +260. And you can catch this one on the free side of Apple TV from Stade Saputo. Also on the board, and we'll go back over the standings heading into the weekend just so we can all sit there and be on the same page when it comes to what we're looking at. Also on the board, it is DC and Chicago. DC's favored at home at a -127. Draws a +285. Chicago on season pass is listed at a +330. And so you'll have 8-12-6 hosting 8-10-8, 7-39 kick. Chicago's kept a clean sheet in each of their last 3 meetings with DC. Goalless draw back in April. DC's lost consecutive home matches in all comps after losing only one of their previous 8 at Audi Field. Chicago's lost 4 straight matches in all comps for the first time since April and May of 2022. So I'm going with DC here. We'll go with DC here because of that stat with Chicago, and especially after getting thumped in the midweek. Probably the early match to keep an eye on, Cincinnati, Orlando City. FC Cincinnati's a -116, draws a +266, +319 for the purple team. +319 for the purple team in this one, and you can catch that one on the free side of Apple TV at TQL. So that one will be That one will be the interesting early matchup before the 8:30s, the ones that we're going to be paying attention to. We'll save Atlanta United and Dallas for last. Revs in Austin. Austin is north of plus 310. I'm going with the Revs, minus 130. 8:30 Nashville and Charlotte. Nashville's a minus 133. I think they'll drive Charlotte crazy. I think Nashville ends up getting full points here at home. Plus 279 for your draw. And Charlotte to win on the road is a plus 354 in the composite. Also at 8:30, Sporting and all caps. Sporting, minus 119. Your draw's a plus 286. St. Louis City is basically a plus 300. 9:30, RSL and the Rapids. RSL's a minus 154. Rapids are north of plus 420. Don't touch it. RSL needs a make-good game, and the draw's a plus 295. I'm not touching it. The biggest favorite on the board right now is RSL at a minus 154. 10:30 Saturday, you've got three matchups. Galaxy and Dynamo. Dynamo are a plus 233 on the road. That's an interesting number to me. Draws a plus 277. LAG's a plus 104. I like the draw option at the very least. I also like the total here. Looking at over-under. Plus 3.25 is at plus 131. 3.5 is at plus 163. I like the plus 3.5. I like that plus 3.5 number. Also on the board, you have San Jose hosting Minnesota at a plus 108. Draws a plus 268. Minnesota United's a plus 231. And then you have Cascadia with its attached anger at 10:30. Seattle minus 145. Draws a plus 296. Timbers on the road at a plus 374. I like Seattle here. Then you have your two matchups back-to-back on Sunday night. And you actually do have a truncated schedule next weekend. And Messi and friends are going to be shorthanded like you don't know what as they host Sporting Kansas City. And they're already a minus 200. A lot of folks are going to be away on international duty at a minus 200. Philadelphia hosting Red Bulls at 7:30 Sunday night at a minus 112. Your draws a plus 256. Red Bulls are a plus 309. Then, 10 o'clock, Messi and friends are in Los Angeles. LAFC's a minus 102. Draws a plus 285, and Inter Miami are a plus 248. Once again, recapping the weekend. NYC Vancouver's on season pass. 7:30s. Cincy and Orlando. Montreal and Columbus are on the free side of Apple TV. Season pass has DC, Chicago, New England, and Austin. 8:30. Atlanta and Dallas. That's on season pass. So is Kansas City and St. Louis. Nashville, Charlotte's on the free side of Apple TV. 9:30, season pass has RSL in Colorado. 10:30, LA, Houston, San Jose, Minnesota on the free side. Season pass has Cascadia. Sunday, FS1 and the free side of Apple TV have Philly and Red Bulls. Season pass has Miami and LAFC. Atlanta and Dallas. This is going to be a true test of the physios here and all of the readouts and all of the numbers and all of what you're staring at when it comes to all of these teams playing in a short period of time on the quick turn. Dallas last time out went to City Park, lost to St. Louis, which is like playing Red Bulls. Lost 2-1. So they're on the road having to turn around. And remember that you will not have your starting keeper. Martin Peiss in the 12th minute of the matchup against St. Louis. Professional foul handball was what it was listed as, straight red. Peiss is suspended for this one. Jimmy Maurer will be in net. It was goalless. I mean, Nashville for 70 minutes kept the match scoreless, and then it was 2 goals in 3 minutes for St. Louis from Markanich and Thorson that made it 2-0, and then Ansa scored at 90+5 to make it 2-1, and that was your final. So, Jared, as we are going over Dallas and Atlanta, your timing is as impeccable as always. When it comes to this particular matchup, what are you staring at? What is in the Jarrett Smith, John Nelson spot shadow when it comes to this matchup this weekend?
Probably just how they respond to things. How you respond to disappointment last time, and how do you come out of the gates? Because you come out of the gates really well last few games. Can you do that again? That's going to be a big question. And how do you manage the game? Because you let it get away from you against Cincinnati, and you kind of played into their hands. Just making a comparison for someone last night, it was sort of like getting into a shootout with USC with a Lincoln Riley team. You don't do that.
No.
So you don't get into a transition game with Cincinnati, but then you did. So how do you manage this game? I thought you managed it well in Seattle. I thought you managed it well with Nashville. You have to manage the games, and that's going to be something you have to learn how to do, especially this new group.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how they do with it, but I want to see how they manage the game.
And one of the more interesting aspects in all of this is, do you end up? Yes, the high temperature of 98 in Dallas, in Frisco. That's going to be take your eggs and crack them on the asphalt.
And to David's point, I think part of one of the reasons you've seen Hawaii, that's one of the reasons you've seen Wiley sit back more in the way they've been playing, where he hasn't been bombing down the left side constantly. One of the benefits of that is you can save his legs a bit. And yeah, he was tired at the end of the match, but he didn't have to be subbed out in the 75th minute because he was just completely gassed at 75. Which I think is something that's been happening when he is just running, especially if it's going to be from the left back spot. That's a lot of back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be able to still pick his times to go be a problem, but it doesn't have to be all the time. And I think he's gotten a lot better defensively in those 1v1 situations, and he'll have to be big in this game.
Yeah, and you wonder, do you start Saba if he can give you 45? Do you start Ronald Hernandez because of the Caleb Wiley workload? Do you flip-flop the idea of like I said, Saba and Mosqueda, where Saba, if he can give you 45, you start him, you bring in Mosqueda at the half. If he can only give you 30, Mosqueda gives you 60, runs like hell, you bring in Saba for the final 30. Left-hand side, do you flip-flop Tyler Wolf and Shande Silva? Does Wolf give you 45 or 60? And then bring in Shande Silva for the remainder of that. These are is it Sadic instead of Hosechu in this kind of a situation to go with Thiago, or Sadic and Hosechu? Does Tristan Muyumba get a bit of a break? These are the kinds of things that, with all of this compression that we've seen, is the natural inclination to flip-flop guys that got subbed off late and have them be the late subs in this particular match because of everybody being where they are. So, I mean, that was literally the first thing that popped into my head. Are you flip-flopping your substitute, your lineup versus your substitutes from what we saw in the midweek? But I guess that's more of a question for the physios, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, they have an unbelievable amount of data that they're going to go through to figure out what's going to be and come out with, what's going to be optimal. You go with what's been working with Setu and Tristan Muyumba. Do you mix it up a bit? The Saba question, I don't know. I'd love to see him start, just because I think in a game like this, a player like Mosquera is potentially a problem coming off the bench in the second half.
Right.
He's coming in the 65th, 70th minute when guys are tired and they're hot and those
Yep.
legs are heavy and your brain is heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I like him being that guy. I would love to see Saba from the start. I don't know the grand scheme of things, plan, idea there. Don't know what his schedule looks like in terms of how many minutes he can give you.
Right.
But you also know you're going to lose him to national team duty really soon. So, get what you can from him now while kind of managing his body. And yeah, this is just, it's going to be a different animal just because, I think the humidity is supposed to be down. It's still going to be like 97 degrees.
So it'll be a dry heat is what you're saying.
Just like an oven.
A drier heat, yes. And Michael, I'd be interested to know if Saba's ever played in that type of heat. I mean, for me, it would probably be something in international windows. I don't know, since I don't have the Turkish Weather Channel, I don't know what the summers are like, what the spring and summer sections of the window are like when it comes to playing, at a place like Hatayspor or anything like that. I would imagine if it's that way, then it's laid out for Saba in these kinds of situations. D. Graham says he's starting Sosa with Sadic for the first half. Got to better manage minutes this game for sure after what Dan says is mismanagement back on Wednesday. And Ricky in the OSG Sports College Football section of the show, it is officially official. Cal, SMU, and Stanford are wandering over to the ACC. It is officially official in college football down here that we've ended up with 3 more teams in the ACC. So there you go. David says that Jason seemed to believe that Saba's fitness wasn't an issue. It's just 2 matches in a week is a chemistry issue. And you saw that, Jarrett, when you were with the press after the match in the midweek, catching up with Diego and everybody in the locker room. There was a question that was raised about Saba and how, he didn't look like, he was trying to find his way in the match in the midweek, and he wasn't as active probably in the offense as he would have liked. And you will see that with Saba trying to get integrated. So it will be part of this whole discussion. Hey, first time out, Saba just gets to go out and run for 10 minutes. Go out there, run like hell, and cause people problems. Come in for more minutes. Then it's trying to figure out, okay, where does he integrate? You want the pass here. I want the pass here, those kinds of things. And that's just going to be the way that it's going to be over time. You're going to, there are going to be those moments of miscommunication. You still see them out there with Muyumba and Shande Silva and all of that. So it's going to be part of a growth process, but the natural ability of these guys will make up for that. And we also know that speed kills. Yes, Ricky, college football is galactic realignment for college football. Yes, it's like Twister. It is all about brands and identities, and it doesn't matter where you are now. It is what you can do for brands, for TV markets, and for TV contracts. So we'll be able to keep an eye off of that. Keep an eye on that. Abby says that Hosechu was off a little, hoping he regains his composure. And, I mean, Jared, what we've seen from Muyumba and Hosechu, I've liked this pairing because it allows for Tristan Muyumba to roam and do the offensive freelancing, but he has the speed to get back when he's needed defensively. And Mateus can be that point guard that can help you out defensively. And, he's going to help you out. He's going to be that guard that's going to be there defensively and be the point guard to help things out in the midfield, where you've got Thiago, who wants to be the shooting guard, and then you've got Muyumba, who is not afraid to jump into the play too. But I like what I've seen, the early returns on Muyumba and Hosechu in the midfield.
Yeah, we talked about this after the game the other day. It looks good. It's It's worked, and maybe I don't know what you do with that position with Hisetu in the offseason.
Yeah.
I don't think so this year, next year. Just it hasn't. He hasn't clicked the way you wanted it to. I don't have any insight on whether that's a thing or not. That's just my personal feeling. Is that
Right.
you're finding a way for him to move, um, and if nothing else, give him a chance to kind of reset.
Right.
Because he's still very young. Give him a chance to reset and get comfortable and be back to what he was in 21. Um, whether or not it's a Setu, whether or not you improve that position, whether or not you bring him back, because I think this partnership is good right now. Can it be better with somebody else? Maybe.
Yeah.
Could it take a step back? Maybe. But you're always trying to improve the team. I would be fine with both of them. I would be fine with both of them right there operating like this.
Yeah. Looking at the other matchups in Major League Soccer this weekend, have a safe weekend, Abby. We will catch up with you on Monday. Yes, there will be a Monday show because, it's a Monday. And the other element of the Dallas match is that, once again, we talked about Martin Peiss will not be in net for his 12th minute red card. It'll be Jimmy Maurer in net for Dallas. And I think a lot of us, when it comes to Dallas in and of itself, we look at Dallas and we look at the matchup against Miami in Open Cup, where Dallas was more than happy to just slam it into fifth gear and try to work their speed on the edges against a slow back line for Messi and friends. And it proved to be a great plan, except that, Inter Miami did Inter Miami things, and it ended up going 4-4, goes to PKs. Inter Miami wins, advances, and moves on. But I think that the speed that you'll see out of Dallas, if they have their way, will be interesting going up against whatever the back line looks like for Atlanta United in this matchup tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll have to just see. We'll have to see how Dallas approaches it, because we talked about this with the Cincinnati game.
Yep.
Atlanta and Cincinnati coming into that game both played like low stress games. Like, they were able to get out and be in good shape. Atlanta played a high stress game with Cincinnati. Dallas played an incredibly high stress game and played with 10 men for the majority of that game. How much do they rotate?
Yep.
How much do they have in the tank? How much can they push? And how can Atlanta push them around, especially with possession? If you can keep possession and make Dallas chase you around and see if you can get them impatient and unbalanced, and then find your opening. It's ideally what you would love to do, and you'd love to get an early goal to really make them chase, because they just played almost 80 minutes of chasing.
Yep. A couple of other news and notes, and we still haven't talked about one other piece of news that came up yesterday. Attacking Third, according to D. Graham, has come out with the FIFPro has come out with a statement. No surprise, on behalf of Jenny Hermoso. Quote from FIFPro, and FIFPro is the trade union that brings together player unions from around the world to ensure that footballers are recognized globally. FIFPro on Jenny Hermoso. Quote, the systems are failing us. Governance is failing us. Accountability is failing. Discrimination runs deep and occurs at every level. Football must respond and rise to this critical moment, not only in Spain, but around the world. So FIFPro comes out with their official statement when it comes to Jenny Hermoso. There was a retirement yesterday, Jarrett, that we haven't really had the chance to talk about. Julie Ertz retires yesterday, and we're talking like retired. We're not talking like just, I'm done international duty. I'm done. I'm going home. I'm going to go hang out with my extremely talented tight end husband, who's a large human being, and my child. So Julie Ertz hangs it up yesterday, posts a 2-page statement on her social media, and Julie Ertz comes back from a pregnancy, comes back and is a part of the World Cup team. You really can't say enough about what Julie Ertz meant to the U.S. national team and what she meant to the growth of soccer in general. But Julie Ertz hangs it up to go home, because travel, obviously, with a newborn and a young child, turned into a lot of different obstacles to have to put up with. But Julie Ertz retired yesterday.
Yeah, she retired. Correct. And good for her. She came back for this World Cup. Obviously didn't in the way she wanted it to, but she had been, one of the best to ever do it for this national team, and not always flashy because she was queen of that near post glancing header goal, but wasn't a star striker, wasn't a midfielder pulling the strings up top, was more of a defensive midfielder and then playing on the back line when she was needed to. But Julie Ertz is, we're not going to say was, because she's very much alive, just like Wade Boggs. Again, Wade Boggs is very much alive.
Yes.
Julie Ertz is still very much alive, so we're not going to talk about her what she was. Like she's one of the best to do it for the national team, and an absolute rock and a leader on that team. And look, as they move this team into the future, some of these spots you're going to have to fill aren't just talent-wise; they are leadership-wise. That's going to be one of them.
Michael had Julie Ertz is a beast. Too bad her last match was a loss, no doubt about it.
Too bad nobody could score from the spot.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yes. Yeah. Shooter is bringing up Bruce Arena. And Shooter in the Twitch pitch is rather fired up about the commissioner of Major League Soccer. And we still have, and it has to do with Bruce Arena. We have no information on anything involving Bruce Arena. Shooter is discussing it in the Twitch pitch right now. But how long have we gone on Bruce not being involved with anything New England?
We are on over a month now. Easy. It happened during Leagues Cup.
It is.
And we're still sitting here waiting, not even like waiting for what is the length of suspension. We're not even at that point. We're waiting for what did he do?
Yeah.
The only thing we had was Kaylin Kyle saying something and then immediately backtracking out of it and getting like softly pulled off air by Apple MLS after the fact.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all we've gotten from anybody.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're just kind of sitting here wondering what's going on. It has been absolutely pathetically dealt with by Major League Soccer. The lack of communication is absolutely horrendous, and the lack of even to say hey, we're still investigating.
Yeah.
Even to do that, the fact that you announced his that he was indefinitely suspended while you were doing an investigation, to not say anything, and to just sit there like a bump on a log. No, it's absolutely embarrassing from the league. And the fact that they haven't or won't say anything it's mind-boggling. And I know Shooter's more of he is the New England contingent here.
Yes.
I don't blame casual New England fans for being absolutely beside themselves because of the lack of clarity and communication. And you're just hanging a team out to dry for no damn reason. Or if there is a reason, tell people.
Yeah.
It is just, this is, you're giving everyone the silent treatment for no damn reason. Just get the hell over yourself and figure yourself out, MLS.
Reuters, August 1st. This is in my quick search of the internet. August 1st. Revolution sporting director, head coach Bruce Arena has been placed on administrative leave pending an MLS review into allegations he made, quote, insensitive and inappropriate, end quote, remarks, Major League Soccer said on Tuesday. Revolution said it suspended Arena due to the MLS investigation into the matter. In a statement, at the time, this is a month old, organization takes any allegations of workplace misconduct extremely seriously and is working closely with the league and fully cooperating with its investigation, end quote. That's it. That's a month ago. That's it.
It's been bad. I think they should be embarrassed by this. And if they're not, then whatever. Tone deaf is tone deaf, man. It is what it is.
That's, yeah. So, That's where we are. David says, and like I said, Shooter is off and running this morning. Shooter is just off and running in the Twitch pitch. The Julie Ertz discussion. David says one of the biggest Vladko disasters. Lindsey Horan needed a game wrecker like Ertz at the 6 to be her best. Ertz was no longer that. She at center back was good, but not the game wrecker, and our midfield was therefore also not world class. So when Bart comes in next week, and D. Graham says he would have liked to have seen Jalen Howell on the roster, but Emily Sonnet did her job given the opportunity. So when Bart comes in next Wednesday for his 10:30 segment, we'll discuss Julie Ertz, and we'll discuss all of these other kinds of things that are going on with all of this. Apparently, Harry Kane could not say goodbye to his teammates. He was locked out of Spurs training facility when the transfer was made.
Well, somebody should ask Caden Clark if he's going to get to say goodbye to his teammates.
Yes.
Because Tom Bogert, Minnesota United, close to a deal with Caden Clark.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
Not totally agreed yet, but optimistic it will get done.
Yes, and keep an eye on Tommy Scoops today as well with everything going all over the place. Jordan Pefok has switched clubs in the Bundesliga. Formerly at Union Berlin due to a lack of playing time, loaned out to Borussia Mönchengladbach. So we'll keep an eye on that. Pia Sundhage, once again, another Bart topic on Wednesday. Pia Sundhage has been sacked following the team's worst ever result in the Women's World Cup. Starting in July of 2019, Swedish coach had been in charge of a team that has players like Marta. It was widely anticipated that the Brazilian Football Confederation, otherwise known as the CBF, on the jerseys, they would fire her. And they did. So Pia Sundhage is sacked in Brazil. And get this. You know how we talk about MLS being a place where folks come and get players? Orange County SC has agreed to a deal with Feyenoord to send Corredi Osundina to the reigning Eredivisie champs. Osundina is a U.S. U19 international. It becomes the 5th Orange County player to be sold to a significant European team. That's the words from World Soccer Talk. A 5th player from Orange County to be sold. 4 goals, 20 appearances for Orange County SC during the current campaign. And the number that was floated around was like $215,000. The two clubs did announce a partnership back in February. And it's the first of its kind between a USL club and a European club. First transfer between the teams since the announcement of the agreement. So Kobe Henry, you'll remember, went to Reims in French football for $700,000. Feyenoord apparently is paying Orange County around $215,000 for a Corredi Osundina, the 19-year-old from Orange County. So we're seeing lower divisions now, the second division, getting some work done when it comes to player transfers. I mean, $200,000 for a team like Orange County, that does a lot. $700,000 for Kobe Henry does a lot for their infrastructure. What we're seeing with Joshua Winder and Louisville and Lou City does a lot for them. 7-figure fee when Joshua Winder was moved over. So very, very cool stuff out of USL Championship. So keep an eye on that as well. Let's see. Let's see what else. Other matches in Major League Soccer. Jarrett, what sticks out to you this weekend?
Let me look at well, Miami has to go to LAFC. I know that much.
Yeah, that's late game on Sunday.
That's going to be a pain in the ass for Miami. You know, them only getting a point against Nashville was at home. It wasn't great.
Nope.
Because you desperately needed to get more. You desperately need to get. And I know we're all just kind of in this. Oh, they'll get it across the line. Like maybe, but when you're dropping points at home,
yeah,
it's tough to do that. And yeah, Panico made a great save late, kept Miami off the board. And Nashville only played 45 of Hani Mukhtar, if I'm not mistaken. It was a really weird kind of game, and it's a good point for Nashville to stabilize themselves. But like, for Miami, now those games are going to disappear really quickly, and they have games in hand on some teams. But like they play Sporting in the midweek.
Yep.
At home. I feel like you'll feel pretty good about that. Which one you should win. Going out to LA and playing at 10 p.m. local, like 10 p.m. our time, 7 p.m. local time is. I mean, that's a body clock game, man.
Oof.
Other games this week, Cincinnati and Orlando should be a lot of fun. Cincinnati, like Atlanta, a lot of high stress minutes in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Now they welcome Orlando to town. Would love to see Cincinnati lock up the Shield so that on decision day, maybe they're just kind of chilling out and Atlanta can have an easier game to deal with. That'd be lovely. Hopefully Atlanta will be firmly top 4 by then. Trying to see. San Jose, Minnesota might be good. Houston and LA. Houston and LA could be really good. Again, Ben Olsen, your down ballot coach of the year. Give him some votes. He doesn't have to win it. I get it. Bradley Cornell's going to win it. I get it. Give the man some down ballot. Give the man his flowers. You have Seattle and Portland, which is going to be fun because the loser of this is kind of like this is a casket match.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting the loser in the casket and we're wheeling him out.
Yep.
If you don't like watching fun things, or if you want to hate watch something, Philadelphia and New York play each other 7:30 on Sunday night. I don't know how much you hate yourself, but it's certainly an option. There will be many games this weekend, and that is one of them.
Yes. By the way, reminder of reminders again. It is a triple header Saturday for Atlanta United. Starts things off. Jarrett's got like stuff to do. So he's going to be a normal person on Saturday. 4:45, 4:45 pregame. Atlanta United 2 and FC Cincinnati 2 from the Fraction. I'll have that one for you. And we will hear from head coach Steve Cook. We'll hear from Nicholas Firmino in the pregame show. We'll go back over the last match that these two teams played up at Northern Kentucky with the Eric Centeno red card that came out of somewhere and was thoroughly confusing. But we'll go back over that match, go back over what happened in the matchup against Red Bulls. 12 days between matches for Atlanta United 2. And they have their penultimate home match against FC Cincinnati 2 in the Eastern Conference. So kickoff a little after 5 o'clock. You can hear that soccerdownhere.net. You can hear that on the SDH app. Available iOS and Android. Go to Spreaker. If you have an iPhone, do a search, Soccer Down Here, OSG Sports. Soccer Down Here is where the game will be. You can pick that up there. Then, after we're done, go to 92.9 The Game, Odyssey app. Mike and Jason, 8 o'clock pregame show. 8:39 kick, Atlanta United and FC Dallas. Then after that, it is the unified game. It is the unified finale for the year, their last match of the season in Dallas. And Jason and the Hoff will have that call for you on ATLUTD.com. So it is the twos. It is Atlanta United. It is the unified team. Triple header on Saturday from the activity from Kennesaw and from Frisco, Texas. So across all of your platforms, make it an Atlanta United day. So it'll be a very, very busy day across the board when it comes to Atlanta United. D. Graham working the calendar, saying that we might get to see Efra against Messi on the 12th.
You might. Good luck, everybody.
Wow. And a tip of the hat to you. Man. Oh, man. Man, oh, man. That one will be, how do we say, interesting, if that does, in fact, happen. We were trying to quantify what it's like to play at altitude, and specifically in Bolivia at La Paz, which we know is not at sea level.
12,000 feet. It's basically the same. If you go as high as you can in Rocky Mountain National Park, it's about the same.
Okay.
Which I've done recently. Because you
just
feel like you're not getting air.
No.
Like when you it's not like you're suffocating. It's just like when you take a breath, it's like your lungs aren't filling
Mm-hmm.
because the air is so thin up there. It's tough. It is
11,932 feet. So if you go and watch a Denver Broncos game, that's 5,280 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to go, if you put Denver on top of Denver, that's 10,560 feet. If you put the Sears Tower on top of Denver, in Chicago, the Sears Tower is, hang on just a second, 1,451 feet. So 1,451 plus, so 10,560. So right there. Basically, if you went Mile High Stadium on top of Mile High Stadium and then put the Sears Tower on top of that, that is where you're playing when you are in downtown La Paz, Bolivia at Estadio Hernando Siles. That's what you're dealing with. That ain't sea level, folks. Although I did see last night in the Utah game where Utah beat Florida and there was much rejoicing, where apparently they actually do have bottles of oxygen. They do have bottles.
if you're in the national park, you can buy them.
And so,
like in the visitor centers, you can buy them. You can buy like a bottle of oxygen.
Okay.
Because again, it's 2 miles. It's over 2 miles high. Like you need a bottle of oxygen sometimes to function up there.
Jarrett, last thoughts for you before you turn into a pumpkin and hit the real world.
No, just fun weekend coming up. Top flight, MLS Next Pro, USL as well. Keep an eye on all of it. It'll be weird. After this, you get an international break. There will be games next weekend.
Yes.
It'll be a condensed slate.
Yes, that is true.
So, and that's one of those that's going to get interesting for a team like Miami because they're going to get to make up some of these games, and won't have Messi for it.
Nope, you won't have. You won't have Kremoski. You won't have Messi. You won't have, I think, at least half a dozen players available to you for that match at home, where the juice box purveyors are already saying you're a minus 200. They're not taking into account who's not going to be there, but they're saying you're a minus 200 right now. That's going to change. Take the number right now on Sporting Kansas City, whatever it is. That's all I got to say.
Go for it.
All right. We'll see you later, dude. That's Jarrett, and he's gone for another week. He'll be back on Monday. We will have a show on Monday, by the way. It is Labor Day, but obviously we'll have stuff to talk about. So we'll be here Labor Day normal, 9:05. Next week, like I said, we'll be guest chasing. Tuesday, I know we will have Lloyd Hours, the technical director for the Marshall Islands project. He will be on the show at 9:30 on Tuesday morning, and that will be 2:30 in the afternoon for him in England. So next week, I pushed the USL guys. I need to remind them that we've turned to September, and since I didn't have them on the show yesterday because we had so much going on, I want to have them on next week. So the USL guys will be on to talk USL on Thursday. Lloyd Hours from the Marshall Islands will be on Tuesday at 9:30. That much I do know. And we'll try to chase after, like I said, the head coach of the Atlanta United Unified team to put a bow on that season, Marty Jellamy. We'll try to have him on the show next week as well. Obviously, international duty. Bart will be in on Wednesday to talk about Julie Ertz and Jenny Hermoso and all those other things that we're getting into, the international break and the window and all those internationally type of topics. So we'll get into that with Bart on Wednesday as well. So it will be another full week. We're not taking Monday off. Monday might be Labor Day, so we're going to labor, and we will continue to go from there. But once again, remember, big Saturday across the board. It's the 2s here on SDH. It is Atlanta United in Dallas on 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app. It's the Unified game after that in Dallas on ATLUTD.com with Jason and the Hoff. So Very, very busy weekend across the board, Major League Soccer. We'll talk about it all on Monday. We'll have all of your thoughts going on. Shooter, I know, will still be mad at Major League Soccer about one of the more confusing situations involving an individual that has been here for quite some time. Like I said, it's been a month, and that's all we know. So no details, no nothing. And keep an eye out on your transfers today. Transfer deadline day. Peacock, probably have Sky, and if you can watch the stream right now, probably you can catch up with them and Sky and what's going on with them with your transfers and your favorite clubs. Remember, the Saudi window is open for another week. After this, think of $200 million for Mo Salah and Al Ittihad by the time we're done. I think it's going to get done because if Mo Salah has left the training facility, there's conversations. So there you go. Have a great weekend, everybody. Ricky, thanks to all of you guys for hanging out with us as much as you do. Thank to Greg Garza and our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring for what they do every single week as well, hanging out with us at 9:30 for the Friday Free Kick. So enjoy your weekend. Be safe. If you're taking a long weekend, be safe again, but be safe for longer. We'll be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow morning. Thanks for hanging out with us for another week here at SDH. You can listen to us on tape on the audio side of things, and we'll be back at it again first thing 9:05 Monday morning. That is what we refer to as a promise, which Platiel played safe. We'll catch up with you soon since it's the end of the show and the end of another week. It means I get to do this. We'll catch up with you from Kennesaw tomorrow afternoon.